So hey guys, welcome back to True Crime Thursdays, and thank you so much for choosing to click on to today's video, and thank you so much for choosing to join me today. It means the world to me, so thank you so much. Welcome if you are brand new. My name's Simran, and this true crime series of mine is brand new, and it's something that I only just started last week, so I'm still experimenting and I'm still learning and progressing and trying to be better with you guys. So if you have any feedback or if you have any questions, please do not ever hesitate to ask me. If there's any cases that you would like me to perhaps look up or research for you guys, please let me know, because that would mean the world to me and I would love to do that for you guys. So without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, if you do enjoy today's video, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, because I always forget to let you guys know, to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button. But can you please hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed today's content. So without further ado, let's get started, guys. Let's get into today's case, because it's super I don't know how to put it into words, it's just different. So the incident took place on February 24th in 2006 in a place called Riverside in California. So Riverside is actually on the outskirts of LA. I've heard from what I've heard and what I've researched, it's not the most pleasant area to live in, let's just say. So the incident took place around about 8:43 precisely, and a girl by the name of Crystal Theobald was shot by a mysterious man who came out of a car and directly just shot at the car that Crystal Theobald was sitting in. Crystal Theobald did not survive. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you back 5 minutes prior to the actual shooting itself. So Crystal had been in the car with her family, her brother and her mother called Belinda Theobald, and her brother called Justin Theobald. They were in the car driving around. 5 minutes prior to this, Crystal had two brothers. She had one brother by the name of Justin and another brother called Robbie, I think they called him for short. Both Justin and Robin Theobald. Now, Justin Theobald was in the car with Crystal and their mother, Belinda. But her brother, Robbie, was outside in the car and talking to another man 5 minutes prior. Now they are in another car. So what we're going to do is we're going to call the car number one. So car number one was outside talking to a friend, some kind of deal, let's just say. And whilst her brother Robbie, car number one, is talking to his friend, all of a sudden a white Ford Expedition drives by, and there's 7 people in the car. Now the people in the Ford Expedition are looking at Crystal's brother Robbie in the car. Robbie and his start to feel a little bit uneasy, so they decide to leave. The same Ford Expedition, car number 2, let's call it, car number 2, the Ford Expedition, decides to chase car number 1, which is Robbie's car. But luckily enough for Robbie, he loses the people in the car in the Ford Expedition. Now, the people in the Ford Expedition decide to continue to drive around the neighborhood looking for car number 1. Now, whilst driving looking for car number 1, car number 2, which is the Ford Expedition, comes across, instead of finding Robbie, they come across another car. Now, Ford Expedition, car number 2 does not, so remember it's dark now, so car number 2, Ford Expedition, doesn't know who's in car number 3. But you know, and I know, that Crystal Theobald was in the car. All of a sudden, a man jumps out of the car and starts shooting at the car that Crystal Theobald was in. He just stood there shooting till he ran out of bullets and he couldn't shoot anymore. All of a sudden, car number 2, the Ford Expedition, drives off. Mind you, let me just recap that car number 2, the Ford Expedition, did not know that car number 3 had anything to do with car number 1, because remember, car number 1 had Crystal's brother in it first. But Ford Expedition car did not know that car number 3 was Robbie's sister, mother, or brother was in that car. They just decided to shoot at the car. They shoot and then they run away from the incident. So let's just recap, because I know it's kind of confusing. So car number 1 had Crystal's brother Robbie in the car. Robbie is nervous. He decides to drive off, so he loses the Ford Expedition, which is car number 2. Car number 2 decides to drive around the neighborhood looking for car number 1. They come across car number 3. In the car is Crystal's brother, which is car number 1's brother, 2, and Crystal's mother, Belinda. Car number 3 is not aware of what just happened. Car number 2 doesn't know who car number 3 is. All they do is just shoot at the car, not knowing that car number 1 and car number 2 are related. Because where Crystal was seated in the car, she was right in the direction of the person that was shooting. So Crystal was the one who got shot at the most out of everybody in the car. In fact, she was the only one. So the police were called. Crystal was taken to hospital, but unfortunately Crystal did not survive the shooting and she passed away. So now the police and Belinda had to work together to solve who had murdered her daughter and why. Initially, Belinda wasn't really happy with having to work with the police, but at this stage she had no choice but to cooperate with what had happened on that night in order to find the person that killed her daughter and why. So now if we were to kind of touch base on where they live. So I told you in the beginning of the story that the incident took place in a place called Riverside in California, outskirts of LA. Now this area is renowned for its gangs, and there was a prominent gang known by the name of 5150. Because that was considered to be like the neighborhood of that gang itself, 5150, the police assumed that this incident must have been related. Must have been something to do with the gang. So Belinda was given like the option to select who she thought could have been the person who shot that night. Belinda was pretty much sure herself. She was like, yeah, if I see him, I'll know him. I know who did it. I can recognize that person. He looked like a kid. He was like this. He was like that. So the police gave Belinda a selection of people and she chose the person that she thought shot her daughter. The cops bring the boy into the police station and they question him, obviously. The boy was 16 years old. He's telling the police, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. He has an alibi for where he was that night. Now, because he was telling the truth and because Belinda had chosen the wrong person, because of investigation laws, etc. in California, at that stage, Belinda was no longer able to actually assist the police. So not only has she selected the wrong person, now the police could not use her for any further investigation inquiries either, which was kind of like they're back to square one. They have no leads, they have no clue who this could be, they have no idea at this stage. Because there's a lot of detail in this story, I've had to do video into a 2-part video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload part 2. So stay tuned.